Route 16 runs black and glassy under sodium vapor light, a ribbon through pines and bog. Frost veils the shoulder, salt freckles the asphalt, glittering like ground stars. The plow truck hums, heater sighing. Alina Ward eases off the throttle and kills the cab light. Her right hand finds the toggle on the light bar. The leather stitches of her glove creak across plastic. Far ahead, a dark seam loosens into shape. A cow moose steps from the spruce, neck low, ribs lifting under a winter coat. A late calf follows, legs narrow, knees unsure. They angle toward the crown where the salt shines brightest. Hooves scrape the thin crust. A dry note, then another. Reeds tick in the ditch like a metronome, no one set. Alina pulls the truck into neutral and rolls. No horn, no flash. Breath fogs her window and blurs the pair into smudged charcoal. She wipes a circle clear with the back of her wrist. The calf lowers its muzzle and rasps at the glitter. The sound is small and gritty. The mother measures the lane with stillness. "Ward, status," the radio whispers. She presses the side button. "Station 2, slow approach at mile 14, wildlife on the crown." "Copy, keep it dark." Her thumb hovers. The toggle is cool, patient. She watches the seam of traffic over the hill turn from rumor to approach. A low hiss, then a thrum. Headlights bloom against the sky and fall into the bend. She feels the truck's engine settle into a quieter note, as if it too is holding breath. Why don't they run? Who leads? What's the price of waiting? The questions arrive and sit beside her, shapeless as steam. A coupe crests the rise too fast, tires whispering over glaze. Its beams rake the moose pair and widen. The car flinches, then returns to the glitter, tongue working. Alina whispers, not sure to whom. "Easy." "Please." She inches forward until the bumper kisses the fog line. Her thumb presses harder against the toggle without pushing it. "Station 2, traffic at speed," she says. "Holding." The coupe drifts a handspan toward the shoulder. Alina feels heat leave her fingers and pull in the switch. Somewhere behind, a distant horn bleats, thin as tin. Snow ticks on metal, patient and precise. The calf lifts its head at the last second, and the night splits like ice under a tire. January loosens its grip by day and tightens it by night. Sun finds the blacktop at noon and turns frost to wet lace. By dusk, the sheen hardens into glass. Either week is a thaw-freeze metronome, melt, set, until the shoulder holds a mosaic of ruts and glare that looks harmless until it doesn't. Route 16 threads between spruce and low bog, where runoff pools in pans the color of tea. Salt glitters at the crown like thrown sugar. In the ditch, cattails tick when the crosswind brushes their dry heads. The garage smells like hot hydraulic fluid, wet wool, and coffee that has boiled too long. Alina signs out a truck under a pegboard of wrenches. Dwyer stands by the bay door with a clipboard tucked to his ribs. He knocks the light bar with 2 knuckles so the polycarbonate hums. "Visibility kills," he says, not loud. He points to the mirror where a strip of black ice once bit a bumper into memory. "You keep their eyes on the road, not on you?" She nods. The sander chain chatters when she tests the feed. A dull, steady pitch says good tension. She learns the truck's grammar. How a plow blade lifts half an inch to skim without throwing sparks. How sand carries in an arc when the wind shifts. How brine darkens asphalt to a warning purple before it dries to lace. "Plow, sand, brine," Dwyer says. "In that order if you can, and we don't feed wildlife." Morning routes belong to school buses and commuters. Night belongs to silence and the radio. She tapes a county map to her thigh with blue painter's tape so it won't slide, the paper shiny with old greased thumbprints. Her thermos lid sighs when she seals it. Heat blooms in her hands through the steel. When she steps out to kick slush from the step, the grit stings her cheek with bouncing pellets. Little things teach faster than lectures. The corridor shows itself in signs a person could miss at highway speed. Willow wands stripped at a clean height, bark polished where heavy bodies brushed, a spruce trunk scarred on one side, the hair there silvered with frost, tracks at a driveway mouth where someone shook a bag of ice melt and left a bright spill that ran to the shoulder. She notes it. She drives past a mailbox whose post leans toward the road, as if listening to traffic. In her passenger seat, a notepad gathers small facts, mile markers, culvert mouths, places where meltwater pools, and then sneaks across the lane after midnight. "Station 2, eastbound spread okay?" the radio asks. "Even coat to mile 18, she says, wind taking it a touch past the crown near the bog. "Feather it wider," Dwyer adds on a second channel. "Make the shine less interesting." She does. She finds the angle where the spinner sends grit beyond the sweet spot. Salt still lands, but it doesn't glitter so hard under sodium. The road keeps its duty, the shoulder speaks more softly. Afternoons, she checks the weather office feed. A ragged cloud ribbon promises a dusting at dark. The lot fills with trucks again, orange paint dulled by years of winter. Dwyer draws a line with his finger on her taped map. Bridge decks frost first. Cut bank at 14 has black ice where the sun leaves early. He pauses. Don't park to watch, move, or move them with a hint. "How do you hint without spooking?" Alina asks. He thinks. "Place yourself so they'd rather be anywhere else, then give them anywhere else." He shrugs. "You'll feel it." Near dusk, she idles by the bog pull-off. A single crow caws and lets the sound fall. The day bleeds its color out of the trees. What's left is shape and texture. She steps down and walks 10 paces. The snow squeaks under her boots the way it only does below 15 degrees. When she kneels, the cold climbs her shins. She holds her breath and listens. Water runs under ice with a soft cluck. A twig snaps in the woods and then nothing. Her breath shows and fades. She returns to the cab, closes the door gently to keep the truck from rocking. The heater fan ticks as it drops a speed. On the county road 2 miles over, someone starts a four-wheeler and guns it, sound carrying thin and bright over the ridge. At the church lot, a kid drags a boot into a lazy donut. Alina notes both, adds arrows on her map, where noise arrives first, where it dies. The work is drawing faint lines other people never see. Night turns Route 16 into a tunnel. Sodium light makes the plow blade look warm when it is not. She keeps the bar dark unless she must. She practices stopping far back, letting the truck's presence be a weight, not a flare. When a pickup rounds the bend with fog lights like a stage show, she clicks the radio. Westbound white pickup approaching 14 fast. 2 voices answer from opposite directions. "Copy. Copy." Nothing more. A small net in the dark. Once, at the grocery, she overhears at the salt pallet. "I dump mine by the drive," keeps the dogs from slipping. She buys coffee and says nothing. Back on the road, she watches for the spill. It's there, white against black, bright as a dare. She adjusts the spreader, so her sand throws past it, dulling the invitation with different texture. The truck hums, snow grains patter the hood like pepper. Past midnight, the temperature falls a degree and another. The ditch reeds click. A vapor wisp crosses the lane where warm groundwater breathes. She cracks the window to let her skin taste the air. Cold has a weight and a smell, iron and pine and old pennies. She carries that inside and sits taller. Around one, she sees them again, but only as movement. A heavy shape turning to parallel the road inside the trees. She doesn't name it. She doesn't chase it with light. She keeps her speed steady and lets the shape keep its trees. The radio whispers once and goes quiet. The map in Alina's lap tells her where to drive. The hoof prints outside start telling her where to stop. Night returns to the same bend, the same soft grade where mailbox light smears a pale oval across the shoulder. Alina kills the light bar before the crest, lets the truck drift, and taps the hazard off. The cab settles into hush, heater on low, radio dim, engine smoothing to a patient hum. Snow throws powder under the tires and falls back like breath. In the mailbox yard, a porch bulb glows weak amber, a domestic star half swallowed by cold. The cow moose stands inside that halo, ribs rising and dropping in a tidy rhythm, one shoulder scar catching light. Her calf steps to the crown, knees sliding briefly, then correcting with a stiff hop. Hooves scrawl on the crust like chalk across slate. Alina eases the truck to the fog line and keeps her fingertips near the toggle. Leather stitches tick. She inhales through her scarf, air sharp as coins. The calf lowers its muzzle and rasps at the glitter that clings to dark ice. Salt dust coats the little whiskers, a tiny comet tail when it breathes. She touches the radio with her knuckle, keeps her voice level. Westbound, wildlife at 14, crown and shoulder. A male voice answers, easy and soft, copy, slowing, distant. Dwyer comes on a second channel. Feather your throw past the crown. Already doing it, she says. She nudges the spinner speed, listens for the chain's steady torque, and lets the grit ride farther downwind. Less glitter where hooves will go. The mother adjusts a half step. Chest angled to the wind, chin lifted just enough to read what moves beyond sight. She places each hoof exactly onto a packed seam and waits there the length of 3 breaths. The calf mirrors late, half a beat behind. A pickup noses into the far end of the bend, fog lights bright. Alina keeps her bar dark and adds a soft whisper on the radio. Westbound pickup, reduce, wildlife. Brake lights glow. The truck settles into a cooperative crawl. The pickup passes without horn, tires sighing on glaze. From the side road, a sedan appears, then yields early, as if the night itself put up a hand. The box truck behind it answers Alina's quiet call with distance, headlights small, engine low, a patience that arrives without speech. Inside the plow cab, heat eases from the vents, then dims another notch. The fan ticks as if stepping down a ladder. Snow begins again, powder so fine it hovers before falling. She loosens her glove at the wrist. The snap gives with a small, breathy pop. The leather warms under her palm, and the stitches creak faintly when she curls her hand. The calf spreads its forelegs and slides a fraction, belly nearly brushing the glaze. The cow presses her chest against the calf's shoulder, a quiet brace that halts the drift. They hold there. Steam makes thin ropes from their noses. A breath, another. Then the pair edge forward, the mother picking a seam that looks like nothing to anyone else. Alina glances at the sprinkle of salt near the crown and adjusts her spread so the next pass won't paint it brighter. Station 2, I'm thinning the shine at 14. She says. Dwyer answers, good, ½ inch on the blade, keep the throw long. She nods even though he can't see it. The cow lifts her chin to the breeze, ears angled back. Then forward, the small pivots of an instrument tuning itself. She steps with a certainty that makes Alina slow her own breath to match. No guesses, only what the eye can hold. A wind pulse shivers the spruce boughs, snow dust lifts, spins once, and lays down. The box truck glides through the far lane like a barge, respectful and far. The sedan idles behind it, driver's face a reflected blur, No horn, no flash. For a long half-minute, nothing moves except breath and drift. Alina speaks once more, barely above a murmur, passing after they clear the shoulder. "Copy," Dwyer says, voice flat as a level. She drifts the truck another yard and stops again. The calf noses the shoulder grit and comes up with a sparkle on its lip. A tiny banner of frost clings there, trembling with each breath. Alina's glove rests on the wheel, the other hand hovers near the toggle, posture quiet as a held note. Her thermos clicks in the holder as it cools. The cow shifts her body to make a wall that is not a wall, chest broadside to the lane. She turns her head and looks, not past the truck, but into it. For a moment, Alina feels the glass, thinner than it is, a skin between two winters. The cow moose looks straight through the windshield, and the glass feels suddenly thin. Bond here means pattern and restraint, not taming or ownership. Alina treats the bend like a room she enters softly. Same hour, same approach. Breaths measured against frost. Each pass, she removes one bright lure from the crown, then adds patience where noise once lived. She feathers the spinner until grains fly wide and land dull beyond the glitter. She waits longer before touching any switch. No speeches, only repetition the road can learn. The moose keep their distance, she keeps hers. Respect approaches like weather, arriving by degrees, seen first on surfaces that stop trying to shine at night. Spinner speed sits just shy of eager. She nudges the valve, listens for the chain's steady torque, and lets the sand ride farther downwind, less glitter where hooves might go. When a cross breeze rises from the bog, she angles the throw so the crown stays useful and the shoulder grows boring. She marks such edits with pencil dots on a pad, not declarations. She waits, counting 10 breaths before any light. Heater on low, window cracked 2 fingers. She hears cattails click, powder hiss, glove stitches creak. Silence does work. The truck becomes presence, not flare in the dark. At the berm, the calf tries a cheaper taste, rasping snow that holds mostly sand. The sound is small and dry. The cow permits 2 breaths, then lifts her chin a little, a simple arrow, and the smaller body slips back toward the dim seam on the lane. Alina notes the seconds, not theories. She touches the radio once. Westbound, wildlife lingering at 14. A calm voice answers. Copy slowing. She says, "Thank you." The heater drops a speed. The fan ticks. She watches hooves, chews packed lines, no map, shows, and lets the truck settle into hum and wait. Waiting costs warmth and patience. Cold pools at her ankles, crawls her sleeves, finds the skin behind one ear. Headlights stack behind the bend and forget kindness. Somewhere, a horn peeps, small but sharp. She resists the reflex to flood the road with warning. Her thumb rests on the toggle and refuses itself. "Hold position," Dwyer says over the second channel, voice quiet as a level tool. "Copy," she answers. She adds a yard of distance, nothing theatrical, only space. The moose step again. The calf pauses longer than yesterday. She writes the number down and keeps breathing in rhythm. Risk leaves punctuation in the snow. A black donut hardens in the pull-off, a careless spin trapped by freeze. A rumor travels radio to lunchroom about a lifted truck with a bright bar that washes Ben's white. Alina answers with behavior instead of chase. She remembers the lake at 9, skates too big, her father's palm warm on her elbow. "Lean into the slide," he said. Now she eases the blade a breath sooner, keeps weight light over ice, and lets momentum settle. The chain's song stays level. The truck becomes a steady weather front across the quiet bend. 3 signs collect like frost on glass. First, the calf lingers at the shoulder, tasting bland snow as though safety lives in texture. Second, the cow tilts her head toward the dark spruce, not away from the truck, but away from the lane. Ribs forming a compass. Third, work lights spark hard reflections in the calf's eye, sitting on top of curiosity and making stillness brittle. Alina circles each sign on her pad and writes a single word beside them. Later. Station 2, she says softly, holding dark at 14. Dwyer answers, good, keep the crown boring for another hour. Day brings fluorescent hum and the taste of burnt coffee. Alina keeps her voice even. If we shift more material off the crown. She stops there. Dwyer tightens a vise and does not look up. We don't feed wildlife. He loosens the handle and rests his hands. But you can make the road useful without making it glamorous. She nods. Laws sit like fences you walk beside, close enough to feel the rails with your sleeve. On her taped map, he drags one finger. Bridge decks frost first, cut bank goes dark early, hint early, don't chase. She writes that. That evening they park, staggered beyond the bend, her truck first in the east, his idling briefly in the west, before he turns the key and lets the night absorb the noise. Doors close without slam. Snow taps the hoods with gentle knuckles. The radio stays quiet. The pair emerge from spruce and taste the air. Alina sits lower in her seat, hands tucked under thighs to keep from fidgeting. Hold, Dwyer says softly, not to her alone, more to the scene. She whispers back, copy. The moose cross without hurry, breath-pulling thin ropes that break and vanish there. The lifted truck finally appears on a later night, white bar blazing. Alina lifts the mic. Westbound lifted pickup approaching 14, wildlife present. A new voice answers, unhurried. Copy. Dimming. The bar falls to legal. The truck ghosts by like a barge, engine low, tires whispering. The calf flinches, then holds. The cow keeps her angle toward the trees, chest broadside, ears settling like small flags after wind. Snow hangs in the air and then sinks. Alina exhales through her scarf and lets the heater click down another notch, heat moving from vent to quiet. She murmurs, thank you. Tonight, her edits accumulate. The crown loses theatre. The shoulder grows ordinary. The truck becomes a patient sign rather than a siren. She learns where to stop, so wind slips around the cab and carries human scent away from the lane. She learns to arrive early and let stillness teach. Do less sooner, she tells herself, and hears the phrase settle like sand. A sedan rolls up and pauses without prompting. The driver lifts a hand, a small, ordinary kindness. Appreciate it, Alina says on the radio to everyone and no one. The night accepts the message and moves on gently. The donut track freezes into a captured whirl. The mailbox throws its weak oval and then dims behind falling powder. Alina and Dwyer hold the bend from opposite ends, trucks breathing slowly, bars dark. The pair arrive. The calf noses the poor snow, then lifts his face to the spruce. Wind carries resin and iron, a smell like wet nails. The cow waits one body length ahead, chest angled, chin tipped. Alina hears her glove stitches creak as she tightens her grip. Easy, she says to the wheel. The calf looks into the black and the cow does not call. Wet snow comes first, then freeze. The bend turns to glass, a polished trap under sodium light. Wind lifts a slick mist that settles and locks. Alina tests the brake. The truck slides a finger's width and stops. Heater low. Window cracked. The night tastes of iron. Ahead, the mailbox glows weakly. The porch lamp is a dull coin in the cold. The cow moose stands where the oval spills across the shoulder. The calf edges to the crown. Their breath ropes and snaps. Salt gleams like small moons scattered in asphalt seams. A sedan blooms over the rise. Too fast. Its engine hum fattens in the curve. Headlights flare white against the bank. Alina's thumb lands on the switch. She punches the amber alive. The bar detonates into gold. The road becomes a stage. The moose frees inside it. The calf does not move. Knees lock. Ears tilt flat. The mother steps between the beams and the small body. Chest broadside. Neck high. "Hold!" Alina says into the radio. "Hold!" Dwyer answers. The sedan panics a fraction. Tires grab. Then let go. The body yaws. Metal whispers along the guardrail and throws a brief scream. Sparks spit and die. The car stops crooked, nose kissed to steel. The calf bolts, wrong direction, straight into the brighter seam of salt. Hooves rattle on glaze. A skitter, a slide. The little tongue flashes, confused by glitter and fear. The mother does not chase. She keeps the shoulder. She sets her feet and lifts her muzzle toward the tree line. She waits, large and still, a door that has been opened but not crossed. Light feels wrong now. Alina slaps the switch down. Darkness returns in a rush, as if night had been holding itself at the edges. The calf stops mid-step. Breath shakes once, then twice. It looks at the shoulder. It looks at the trees. It turns and stumbles back to the waiting chest. The radio clicks. No words come. Somewhere a siren starts far away and then fades when no one calls. Alina pulls the truck forward 2 yards and squares it to the lane. Hazard off. Engine low. She watches the sedan. The driver holds the wheel and stares through the glass like someone waking from under ice. No door opens. No horn. Just breath on a window. She exhales into her scarf. "We're clear," she says. "No contact." "Copy," Dwyer says. "Reset. Keep it dark." They do. The pair leave the crown and climb the shallow lip of the shoulder. Their hooves click softly on ice rinds where meltwater froze. Salt creaks under weight. At dawn, the neighbor appears with a shovel and a bag. He tears the plastic with his knuckles and flings blue crystals by the mailbox post. The paw makes a bright mound, almost pretty, a beacon at knee height. Alina slows and watches them bounce and come to rest. They glitter where the morning will later turn to night. She steps down. Snow squeaks. "Sir," she says, "old spot gets wild traffic. Could you keep the salt closer to the walk?" He leans on the shovel. "It's my frontage." "Understood." Her breath shows and blows sideways. "Just asking." He shrugs. "My porch ices." "That's that." She nods. "Stay safe," she says, and climbs back into the cab. The bag rattles again. Another handful arcs toward the post. The mound grows. Evening returns fast. The wedge of spill shines like a small moon. The car finds it before the road. Tongue rasps. Teeth crunch. Alina feels the truck become a held breath. "Station 2, she says. "Mailbox at 14 has private salt. Wildlife present." "Copy," Dwyer says. "Don't engage." She doesn't. She does less. Sooner. She shifts the spinner to throw sand long, past the crown and beyond the lure. She takes the lane 30 yards early and holds a slow line, a quiet wall. The plow rides a half-inch high. No sparks, no drama. The amber stays dark. "Hey," she says, softly, to the wheel. "Easy." In the mirror, the salt heap lifts and gleams and settles again, a tiny tide tied to headlights. The calf orbits it, round and round, pulled by a glitter gravity older than rules. The mother stands off the shoulder, chest aimed into spruce, body making a narrow aisle the calf can take when courage and chance intersect. They wait. The night waits with them. A car noses the bend and drifts wide, sees the truck, and corrects. The driver raises a hand, apology without words. Alina nods, unseen. She keeps her thumb away from the switch. Let the dark do the work it knows. Snow begins as dust. then thickens into soft coins. The sound on the hood turns from tick to hush. The calf lifts its muzzle, flakes lodged in whiskers, sparking like mica. It pauses. It steps away from the mound and toward the aisle the mother holds. Alina does not move. "You've got it," she whispers. They cross the narrow space and vanish into trees. The road breathes again. The small moon remains bright and wrong, waiting for another night. In the mirror, the pile glows like a white planet, and the calf is already learning its orbit. Morning breaks blue and sharp. Snow squeaks under boots with that clean, chalky note that only deep cold makes. The garage breathes diesel and wet wool, and a faint curl of cinnamon gum from someone's pocket. Dwyer lays a tape measure on the bench, straightens it with 2 fingers until the hook aligns with the edge. He doesn't look up. Alina sets a roll of burlap beside it, then a canvas sack. No one says plan. The room knows. The trucks tick as they cool. They take the flatbed past the bend and into trees, moving slow, so snow pillows off fir boughs instead of avalanching. The road disappears behind trunks and the air grows darker and quieter, pine and iron settling on the tongue. Alina drops the tailgate. Burlap unrolls with a dry whisper, rough weave against her palms. She drags grain bags into place. Dwyer lifts a pail marked mineral and nods once. She cuts the sack. A clean, sea-edged scent rises. "Kelp," she says. "Trace mix," Dwyer answers. "No chloride." He pours in a slow spiral, a heavy scent meant to be one good idea among trees. Shavings from a livestock block scatter dull and brown. The burlap takes the weight and darkens. Alina spreads it with a gloved hand, listening to the small rasp of mineral across fabric. No piles, no glitter. An invitation, not a shout. They rake snow until the darker ground shows through, a scuffed circle that will catch scent and hold it. Alina hangs a plastic jug from a branch with baling twine, then pricks its bottom seam with a sewing needle from the glove box. A clear bead forms, drops, forms again. "Drip," she says. "Breadcrumb," Dwyer answers. He watches the drop stain the patch a deeper grey. Under starlight it will gleam a little, not like salt on asphalt, more like breath caught and held. He steps back and studies the wind. "Upwind of the bend? Good." His approval lands like a level bubble settling. Alina kneels to set a trail camera. The lens faces low, framed by saplings, the field of view tight on knees and hooves. She wipes snow from the housing with her sleeve. "No faces," she says. "No faces," Dwyer repeats. "GT, we're not making a show." He ties a strip of burlap above the cam to break its shape. The forest takes their edges, makes them smaller. The only loud thing is their breath. Back at the road, they leave absence. Alina feathers the spinner and throws material long, past the crown and far downwind. The surface loses its theatre. No extra shine at the bend. Nothing to photograph. The mailbox mound still glitters, wrong and bright, but the lane itself goes dull, useful, quiet. She notes the way wind shreds the overspray into the ditch. The truck idles. She kills the bar and lets the cab darken. "Tonight," Dwyer says, "we sit back." "Copy," she answers. "It feels like work, because it is." Night folds in with a soft, steady fall of powder. Alina parks far from the bend and lets the heater drop a speed. Window cracked. She tastes cold and resin. Lights stay dark. The radio breathes and then goes flat. She watches the reflector posts walk away in perspective and listens for the small sounds. Reed stems ticking, powder hissing, glove stitches creaking when her hand tenses and then loosens. The truck becomes a shadow that minds its own business. Movement gathers where the trees meet the shoulder. Not a reveal, just a dark rearrangement. The cow moose appears and pauses longer than before, wind on her muzzle, ears lifting and setting. The calf stands behind her flank. They do not look at the truck, they look into the trees, where a faint mineral edge rides cold air. Alina feels the urge to help with light and refuses it. "Hold!" she whispers to herself. "To the switch, to the quiet." The pair step off the lane and onto the scuffed circle they didn't make. The calf hesitates, then lowers its head to the burlap's rough seam. A small rasp follows, dry and sure. The cow waits, breath ghosting and returning. They stand there without fear's jerks, only winter's economy. Alina's eyes water from cold and relief. A pickup appears on the far grade, but its driver reads the dark line of her truck and slows early. No horn, no flash. The engine passes like a low tide. In the mirror, the mailbox mound looks bright and foolish. In the trees, the mineral patch gleams only when the bead drops catch starlight, then vanish. The contrast tells a simple story without words. She holds her station and lets the minutes make their case. When the pair turn deeper, she doesn't follow. The trail camera clicks once, almost imagined, then returns to secrecy. Snow thickens, the road keeps its duty, the forest learns a quieter shine. Alina rests her thumb away from the toggle and breathes out, fogging the glass, watching it clear. They wait another hour. Nothing dramatic happens. That is the point. The lane stays dark and dull. The shoulder remembers its job. The mailbox jewel still burns, but it is farther now from the story the bodies choose to write. Dwyer comes on the second channel, voice low. "Leave it! Come in!" "On my way," Alina says. She checks the switch, still dark, and noses the truck forward. Past the last reflector post, something crunches like salt under a small tongue, and the road stays silent. Morning lifts pale and clean over Route 16. In the garage, Alina scrolls the trail cam on a small screen. Frost's soft hoof, print bloom in the frame, pressed like stamps along the burlap seam. The cow steps in first, muzzle low, testing. The calf follows, uncertain then sure. A tiny rasp reaches the mic, almost nothing, a dry brush of tongue on mineral. It sounds bigger than it is. She smiles without showing teeth. "Good," Dwyer says, leaning by her shoulder. He doesn't touch the screen. "That's enough." Alina nods. She pockets the card and drives out slow. The old glitter on the crown looks tired under daylight, dulled by last night's throw. The mailbox mound still winks, but the wind drifts powder across it, softening its edges. She keeps the bar dark and idles past the bend. No drama, no story. She pulls into the pull-off and kills the engine. The world breathes, a distant raven, a soft cluck under ice, the whisper of fine snow on her jacket. In the bed, the board lies where it always lies, pale wood, scuffed by winter. She runs a glove over its edge, then leaves it. "Not today," she says. Back on the lane, she checks the mirrors, then does what the week has taught. Rake where the melt will creep. Leave what doesn't need shine. Aim the throw with the wind instead of against it. No speeches, only small, right placements. She turns the truck and passes the tree line again. Two dark shapes hold still within the spruce, not hiding, just being where the map now points. She doesn't name them, she lets the forest keep its own nouns. Snow brightens without sun. The mineral patch inside the trees glows the faintest grey, not sparkle, but hush. She slows and watches how light sifts through needles and lands without hurry. A breath fogs the glass, clears, fogs again. "Keep it quiet," she says to the cab, to herself, to the bend. She drives on. Behind her, the road keeps its dark glitter, honest and plain. Ahead, the woods take up a subtler shine, the kind that belongs to snow and not to lamps, to breath and not to sirens. She feels the truck settle into the day like a hand into a pocket, work fitting where it should. The road keeps its dark glitter, the forest inherits a quieter shine. If this story touched your heart, stay close. Here on Paw Prints and Stories, we believe some bonds never end. Subscribe for more quiet miracles where compassion meets responsibility and where the wild teaches us how to listen.